Hello, everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about a couple of basic things. Let's see if I can get my glasses here because this glare is starting to bug me. The basic things are based on observations. And when I grow a tray of microgreens, what I do is I plant, say, 1,000 seeds. And out of the 1,000 seeds, there are exceptions. Out of the 1,000 seeds, one or two will become really large. About 15 to 20 will stay ungerminated. And out of those 15 or 20, maybe 12 to 13 will germinate after every single one has germinated. Each seed has the same DNA, has the same structure. Yet each seed is an individual representation of an actual life form. And this life form does not have exceptions, does not have expectations, does not have logic. It has a basic set of chemical codes that it grows to be what the plant actually is. Yet that variation, hi Lou, yet that variation of seeds still exists in nature. As seeds of a planet, we as an organism of human, we inhabit our planet, our rock, our time capsule through space. And we have set fear in the forefront of our existence. Why do I say fear and not love? Because primarily those are the two main driving emotions. Something is either fear based or something is love based. And if you spell love and spell it backward, it has fear. And one cannot exist without the other. That correlation, that interdependency is such with everything. I can't just plant seeds in air. Um, some will germinate, some will sprout. But at the same time, there is nothing holding them together to make them a viable plant. Same with us. If we are not together, we're not a viable individual. So we need each other in order to make this reality real. We need each other to make this reality personal. With that said, there are methods that have evolved in our DNA, and there are methods that have evolved throughout the years, throughout the eons since we were first created. Now, Darwin was a malaka or an idiot, in my opinion, because he was funded personally by people who don't care about humanity. That's another story. Now, when we go forward um, with our existence, we reach a certain plateau in age where we just don't give a crap anymore. We have very little fear, and we're really questioning how to go ahead and pass over and basically go on to the other side. So we're all waiting to die from birth, and that death is just a new chapter and a new beginning in our existence. Um, how throughout the time we were created till now, fear has made a major contribution not only to our survival, because if we do not fear, we will not have the ingenuity that we have right now and have the lifestyles and the technology that we have right now, because a lot of it was created from fear based mindsets. It's wonderful for me to sit here and record my voice, and my voice will go out to whoever wants to see it and hear it. And it's a good way to express oneself or one view or whatever it is that you're trying to do. I don't know. It's just fear had something to do with it. It wasn't out of love that the internet was created, and it wasn't out of love that most of the modern technology that we have was created. Nikola Tesla was creating out of love, but free energy cannot have a meter on it. So, if you cannot profit from love, then what's the point of having it? And this is just wrong. Um, as we go through, the methods of fear are pretty clear. And a lot of narcissistic and sociopathic and psychopaths use these methods. And it is a good way to avoid this if you have a certain mindfulness to you. And that mindfulness could be just taking a breath, stepping back out of the situation, and recognizing, is there guilt involved? Is there obligation involved? Is there fear involved in what's coming out of their mouth? Because a lot of times, what they're trying to gain is basically approval, validation, attention, and ultimately control. Now, religion has a very good track record for this. Religion is a very beautiful thing if it gives you hope. If it makes you a better person and you are helping out other people and you are committing yourself to a true purpose, then religion is a very, very good avenue to go down and excel in. The problem with religion, it is for control, it is for validation, and the attention is focused on control. So the problem with the religion and the method of religion, sorry, the method of religion is the obligation of it, the fear involved in it, and the guilt that goes along. The guilt that goes along with uh, going to heaven or going to hell. Guilt and fear are considered the same. Julia High. Guilt and fear are two different forms because guilt is geared towards an individual and how their objectives are and how their mind thinks and processes information. Not mind, brain. The projector, the brain is the projector, and how that projector uh, makes one feel. And guilt leads to a lot of sickness and disease. Fear is an overcompassing emotion that controls the projector. Okay. So the overcompassing uh, emotion is fear based, but guilt has a far greater effect because it's a personal, it's ego driven, it is subconsciously adapt to what you are feeling. Right. So the controls on any religion, and this includes Buddhism, is basically controlled by other human beings. The other human beings that writ the texts or wrote the texts or admitted texts or completely changed one or two words in what the actual message was is the control. And the approval of this control is part of the obligation, which is the method. Remember, the approval is the gain, the method is the obligation. And they go hand in hand. I mean, you need to be committed to a mindset. You need to be committed to a mindset in order to believe, whether it is Jesus, Muhammad, the Quran, or is related to Muhammad, and then Buddha and so on. These are all figures that did not have these conflicts of controls because they truly, genuinely loved mankind. They didn't love in the way that you and I love. There was a compassion element to it. And that compassion element was universal. Okay. And the universe inside me is a universe inside you, yet we are two different universes. Hmm. Are we now? By the way, the Frappedaki is courtesy of Mr. Nicolaki, and thank you, my little boy. Um, so, the method of fear is based on the beginning. Um, DNA does not understand fear, does not comprehend the emotion of fear, yet fear can program the DNA over time. So the DNA that's in me has been uploaded since I want to go back, I don't know how many generations. Oh, sorry. On the tree line of me, um, possibly at least 7 to 8 of my ancestors brought forth the gene of fear or the DNA vibration of fear along with it. And this is something that we all don't feel or see or express or understand. Oops. But it's part of us. It is, I believe they call it, oh, I don't know what they call it. But fear itself is part of our DNA today. And fear itself needs love in order to express its actual reality. And the obligation that we have is the method again, and guilt is also the method, is part of that factor that is used to program the DNA to go forward in that fear mindset, in that fear reality. Excuse me. Now, everybody's born the same and everybody dies the same. Yet, the principal evolution of the individual is completely based on everything that they have observed throughout the time and years and so on. And each individual is based in their reality, and their reality is what creates the ultimate release of expression, which is whatever it is they're doing at any given moment. But we all seek approval. We all seek attention. We all seek validation, and we all try to control ourselves. If we didn't try to control ourselves, then we'd be pretty savage, wouldn't we? I mean, I wouldn't walk down the street naked. That's pretty nasty, right? So, trying to gain my humanity is trying to gain my reality. Trying to gain my self control is trying to gain my understanding. What the hell is that cat doing? She's making funny sounds. Kitty. Trying to gain my own validation, right? So I am validating my actions. I am validating my words. through my actions, right? Now, the methods that are involved in my gain or my life gains have guilt, obligation, and fear in them. Because I am obligated, like because I made a choice to go. By the way, that's the other thing. That cat does not have choice like we have choice. That cat is instinct. We leads it to make choices only for its survival, right? That cat is just below us in consciousness, but just as conscious as we are, yet we can never hear that, or we cannot understand their words. We cannot understand how they are and what they are, yet their consciousness is equal to ours. Difference is we live on choice, they live on instinct. And it's not my choice right now to move her out of there, even though she's making funny sounds. But I'm just gonna let her be because she's my fat little kitty. Right. So, and I keep losing control. I keep losing my control of what I am thinking and saying, um, because of like all these little distractions that go on. Uh, and I'm losing control of what I'm of my train of thought because these distractions are created by me, right? So if I didn't take the time to distract myself, then I would be flowing as I should be. And because I am taking that distraction, I am losing my train of thought. Okay. Um, what was I going to say now? I'm totally fooled by it tonight. I think there is a lot of sun activity and it's affecting me. That's a cop out, right? That's a fear based answer. So when we recognize the methods being used by another individual, that the methods of fear, obligation, and guilt, or guilt, obligation, and fear. When we recognize those methods, what are they trying to gain? What are they trying to do? Why are they trying to control us? Um, why are they getting our attention? Why is it they're looking for our approval? Right? Thing is, it's up to us to validate them. It's up to us to give them that yes, sir, no, sir, hi, no, yes, whatever answer we give. It's up to us to validate their actions, and that's where being mindful really comes through and makes you, the observer, notice that the methods being used on you are not to your benefit. And that mindfulness comes in stillness, um, in that quiet stillness that we all can reach, whether it's stepping into a forest or stepping into a meditation or stepping into a dark room or stepping somewhere that takes us out of our comfort zone that we call reality. Okay. So if we allow ourselves to be controlled, it's on us. If we allow ourselves to be completely living in a fearful state of mind, it's on us. The projector, the brain, does not distinguish between uh, colors that are off the spectrum. You can only see colors that are in the spectrum, and those colors vibrate photo for photons, protons, uh, hi doggy diners and treats, Sonia, Photons, protons, and electrons is what creates those colors. And those colors, again, are limited to what we're able to see. So if we're only limited to see and feel a certain amount of things, then that's all we're going to see. Okay. And Sonia asks, why should we honor those type of behaviors of another? Can we not merely acknowledge them and move on? Well, it's not about honoring any type of behavior, okay? And merely acknowledging them and moving on does not solve you. Uh, Solving you is the answer to honor or not honor that type of behavior, right? So if you're going to hold on to a mindset that is not of service to others, then that mindset is going to control you in a state of fear. So if you want to stay in a state of fear, that's great. But we should not honor any type of behavior of another human being that is trying to take advantage of us. But yet we do. Because again, we give them that control. We are the ones that give them the acknowledgement that it's okay for them to act that way. Okay. So if we're going to sit and say, well, we cannot acknowledge that type of action. It's okay. Why should we honor these? Because that's how we learn. But to learn, you have to be aware in the projector, in the brain that tells you that this is what's happening. And this is why I'm talking about the methods. And the methods of people wanting to control you is guilt, obligation, and fear, right? So if somebody comes at you with a guilt statement, a statement of obligation, or a statement of fear, then it's up to you how to react. Normally, I take a deep breath, step back for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and say, hmm, I recognize this. This dude's trying to give me a guilt trip. So if my friend's like, hey, why haven't we been around? What the hell? I haven't seen you in forever. What are you doing? And I'm like, bro, you're trying to make me feel guilty that I'm not able to see you. Instantly deflated, instantly gone. There's no more because I called them out on their bullshit only because I was able to recognize what it is they were trying to do. They were trying to make me feel guilty for not seeing them in such a long time, which makes complete sense. I mean, we love our friends and we want to see them along. And Sonia says, but not doing so, we don't not give them the power. I don't understand, Sonia. I don't understand. Why should we honor those type of behaviors of another? So by not doing so, we do not give them the power. Hmm. Again, what the gain is of others acting out those methods is control, approval, validation, or attention, right? So if we are honoring and giving them the control, right? It's the approval, the validation, and the attention that we're giving them. That's the power. Is that the power that they're seeking? Who knows? They could be seeking to totally control me. It's up to me though to recognize it, right? And it's up to me to say, yeah, I'll play along. No, I don't feel like it right now because I'm really feeling busy and I'm really tired. So I'm not gonna like cut you off immediately, and that's that. So it's up to us, right? It's not that we're not doing. Um, we usually give the control away, and whether it's religion, whether it's our energy, whether it's our money, whether it's whatever it is that we do, we are the ones giving up the control that we possess as an individual. So, do we see it? It's hard to see. Um, it's hard to see because with the distraction, it's real. My kitty's real. My kitty's right there, and my kitty's like, "Well, I'm making noise to distract you, Daddy," but I'm just licking my face. Okay, so she's living in her moment. I'm living in my moment. Right? If I don't get distracted, I continue to focus on what I'm talking about. But because that distraction is real, my power is given to that cat making funny sounds, right? It just happens that I love this cat, so I'm concerned for it, and I want to make sure it's not going to puke when I get sick or anything like that, right? So that is the only reason why that cat would get my energy or my control or my self, whatever, attention to her. Okay, just like a dog, you're not going to see a dog that's malnourished and completely hopeless just sit there and you're going to walk away and what, let it die. No, that's not how you're going to do that. uh, but most people, especially like in a major crowded city, that because they are brain dead, you could be sitting there on a sidewalk completely on the verge of death and they will walk right over you. And it's usually another person who is not afraid to be who they are, to stop and actually help you. But the mass mindset is for that approval. The mass mindset is for that validation. The mass mindset is to seek that attention, right? Ultimately, that mass mindset is controlled by individuals that don't have their best interest at hand, period. And that control is that mass mindset allowing itself to be used up and coerced in ways that they can completely control, but have given the control away. Does that make sense, Sonia? Because um, it's hard to explain if you have not walked those footsteps. And I'm sure you have, consciously or unconsciously, those footsteps have to be followed in order to hear uh, the obligation of control, right? And again, if religion makes you a great person, fantastic, stick with it. Otherwise, it's full of that control. Okay. And I'm talking about every religion, even the Wiccas and those witches and all the other crap. That's a form of religion. Unfortunately, science is a religion, education is a religion. You name it, they have made it into a religion because there's so many freaking PhDs out there that they all need a club to belong to. So therefore, they call themselves an expert, and these experts now control the lives of the most. And the key word is control. Perfect example: COVID. Um, this is related again to our DNA, and that DNA has taken many of representations or manifestations to come to this point. All right, Isis, get out of here. Jesus, cat. What she's doing, she's licking her paws and she's making such a ruckus that she completely distracted me. So that DNA, right, has been programmed over the lifetimes of our ancestors. And if you look at the ancestors, say 200 years ago, their life was much more instinctual because there was a great danger to them of being eaten by an animal. So their instincts were actually kicking very, very high, as to our instincts are kicking very, very low today. Now, intuition, blah, blah, blah. But how many of us have it? And how many of us actually utilize it to flow with it? Okay. So, um, I do not know who's on. So, if you all have questions, I will take them. Um, and the reality is that we create our reality, period. And when we go ahead and make excuses, to not see the methods of control, which is fear, obligation, and guilt, um, then these excuses become a reality. And even in business, we allow that fear, that obligation, and guilt to take control. And most businessmen have that filter that removes that because it allows them to stand on equal footing with just their products and their dream and their vision of their company. And that's why people like Elon don't give a rat's ass. They're going to do what they're going to do, fail 100 million times, but that one time they succeed, it's astronomical because that failure is what made them successful. Not that one or two or three or four or five wins, but that 100 losses. That's what made them successful because they've gone past the fear, they've gone past the guilt, but they're still obligated to succeed. And that obligation brings them to a full circle. Okay. So, um, now, if you are trying to gain some form of validation of self, I do recommend or highly encourage you to have an inward journey. And that inward journey does not involve, um, who said that? I think Buddha said, some monk went up to Buddha, and the monk's like, "Oh, I spent 15 years learning how to gravitate, grab, walk on air." And Buddha looked at him and get across the lake to an island. And Buddha's like, "Well, the ferry only cost a nickel and it'll take you half an hour." So something like that. I'm not exactly sure of the quote, but just because something's hard for us to do doesn't mean we have to do it, right? And that is a form of validation within us, right? Which is a personal gain, because that validation within us is our actions that is causing us to take steps to go where we have to go. Okay. So when we take the time and do what's hard, then possibly there's a shortcut. Now, my DMT people and my friends that are doing serious, like other things, if you're going to do something that you have no understanding to, be careful because there is consequences. And these consequences are real. Okay. Now, when we talk about the projector, talking about the brain. When we're talking about mind, we're talking about right here. And yeah, that's about it. Does anybody have questions or should I move on to something else? I like that. Doggy dinners and treats. That's pretty cool. Okay. So, uh, did you answer my question earlier? Did I miss it? Did it completely go over your head? Yes, I did answer your question. Uh, Guilt and fear are not the same because, again, guilt is a byproduct of fear and it's based on our subconscious and our ego, where fear is a programmed DNA. What is the other question, young lady? ISIS? Yes, that was ISIS. I have fat cat, skinny cat. There was no other question, Miss Julia. That was the one. I answered it already. Is it going to be my dog food cooking class? But fear of failure stops me. But I'm getting there. Nice. A video of dog food cooking class would be sick. That would be a great YouTube channel, and I would subscribe. But you got to throw in some cat stuff in there too, Sonia. It's not just for dogs now; we need kitties too. But yeah, the great idea for dog food cooking class. Doggy dinners and treats is a perfect name for it too. Now, the fear of failure, right, is what? What is a fear of failure? If you don't try, right, how you know you're gonna succeed or not succeed, right? So if you don't fail, like I was telling you about Elon Musk, if you don't fail, you don't succeed. You need that failure in order to succeed. You think I know what I'm doing here, streaming this thing live anywhere on YouTube that's completely open to anybody? I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. If you ask people, they'll laugh at you because they'll be like, "Yeah, he has no clue. He's doing all these things with his hands. His hands are like so huge and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, I have no clue. I really don't. The thing is, though, I care. Um, what do I care about? Well, I'm on my way out, thank God, or else I would not be doing this in a live format. Only because what I say, the powers that be do not like. Period. Self empowerment. I mean, true self empowerment. Never mind this new age bullshit or the stuff that of love and light. Self empowerment is an internal process, and the internal process is what I'm trying to explain. And the powers of be do not like that. But since I'm on my way out, I frankly don't give a rat's ass. And if they want to take me out, that's great. Now, if you understand that if you understand for me, of me, if you understand about me, then you know that I care. Um, I care because I am you and you are me, and that namaste saying is true. I mean, the light in me is the light in you, and so on. So when I say I'm a go, I mean I'm a go. There's no holding on, no letting anything else control me because I'm done. I am sick and tired of seeing how people use other people's emotions and feelings to control them. And the option is no longer viable, or the option is no longer there for me to keep my mouth shut. Um, so I'm just gonna be myself and talk what I gotta talk about. And if people like it, great. If people don't like it, great. I am gonna be there, and if I succeed, great. If I fail, there's no failing. There's only doing. So that's where the option is. Okay, the option is doing and not worrying of an outcome, not having an expectation of an outcome, not seeing uh, not seeing it to the end. In other words, I'm going to do what I love, and love to help other people, and you're going to do what you love, which is basically have a cooking show for dog food, and that's great because you love those animals or those furry friends of ours or furry babies of ours. And if it helps some people heal their pets, that's great. If you give them a recipe that's bad, that's on you, but you can always fix it. It's not a fail. Okay. And I did answer the question if guilt is considered and fear is considered the same. Again, guilt is of ego and subconscious, where fear is completely programmed in the DNA. Now, all these people, um, that have like the top 1% of people that have all the wealth in the world have, well, the ones that were self-made, I should say, not the ones that were giving millions and billions, but the ones that made themselves have failed so much and have failed so many times that if they allowed that to be their vision, they would not ever make it to that 1%. Okay. So for me, I'm going to do what I like. I'm going to help or potentially help somebody saying a few good words because the world we live in right now is a beautiful place, right? It is basically a heaven. Um, if you look at the every end of the world, there is so much beauty in it. At the same time, we are the polluters. We are the negative force on this world, and this negative force is what I am against, because the lies are um, too deep. And my primary goal with this live thing is to debate people, to go on and have guests on and actually have a conversation about what is and what isn't. And maybe I can learn something. Maybe I can learn an insight in myself that I did not know before. And that person, that teaches me that lesson, I will be grateful for. And that is the goal. And if I get there, great. If I don't get there, great as well. I'm not going to sit back and say whatever. Hi, Jay. Where do emotions stem from? Hmm. Let's see. Coffee, Jay, or Jay. Oh, sorry, Joe. Not again. Don't trip me again, okay? I can't believe I called you Joe like for hours the other day. Anyways, emotions come from your soul. Um, Emotions come from the matrix that is you, that is forever. Uh, you are part of a large system, which is called the universe. And emotions is basically the only thing that comes to you when you pass through. When you pass through, all you have learned and all you have experienced in the form of an emotion is relived in your darkness or in your silent state, relived through God, relived through the universe, relived in a state of existence that you were no longer a part of, but you help create. See the catch? You create the universe in what your emotions have uploaded to God, right? So when you die, you fulfill your contract for 7 days, 33 days you're dead. In 33 days that you're dead, there is the abyss. There's nothing. There's nothing as far as you doesn't exist. There's nothing there. But the emotions that you have uploaded for those 7 days are now helping God create and build the universe. And each second that passes is created, realized, observed, were created, observed, and realized by source, by the universe. Okay. So that's where your emotions come from. They come from you. And they come from you in the sense of the wheel. The wheel, this is why you have them. The wheel is basically your circle of life, and that circle of life has four quadrants, right? Sorry, four quadrants, and each quadrant is emotionally based. At one point, you were a psychopathic serial killer. And another point, you were that supernatural friggin' sage that helped save the planet. So each circle, each wheel of the circle, what am I saying? Each each spectrum of the quadrant that we exist in, right, has a meaningful emotion for us to live for. And currently, in the place that we're in, it's a duality type of um, realm, and duality being heat, hot and cold, night and day, fear and love, and so on and so on and so on. We have them in order to create. We have these emotions in order to create. God does not just create by himself. God has all this consciousness in the universe to utilize to create. Okay. Don't forget that cat is just as conscious as I am. Do I understand it? No. That plant or that tree outside is just as conscious as I am. Do I understand it? No. That rock is just as conscious as I am. Do I understand it? No. Okay. That chemical is just as conscious as I am. Do I understand it? No. The sun, which is a light being, is just as conscious as I am. Do I understand it? No. Etheric beings, which is the galaxy, is just as conscious as I am. Do I understand it? No. Can I interact with all seven kingdoms? Absolutely. I can interact with all seven kingdoms because I exist in all seven kingdoms. And if God did not have those kingdoms, then we wouldn't really have that constant cycle. We wouldn't constantly have that wheel. And that wheel is also considered a karma, but karma is another topic altogether. Does the other seven of your die when you die? What? Julia, make sense, please. I just explained the seven kingdoms, Joe. I should say Jay. The seven kingdoms were just explained. So it's the chemical, right? It's the mineral, it's the plant, the animal. Sorry, Joe. The animal, the being of light, which is us, light beings, which is the sun, etheric beings, which is galaxies, and so on. And each one has 13 levels, and those 13 levels have 13 levels, and it's a semi-fractal because eventually that fractal does create a new reality. Don't want to go into that because I do not want to give anybody ammunition. Okay, Joe, I find it funny, and I think Mr. Johnny made a clip of me pointing out. Okay, is there a delay or something? Because I did explain them, and I did tell them those the other seven if you die when you die. Fractal stuff. If you Google or YouTube a fractal, you'll see that it's no beginning and no end. Seven others of us in this. There's 13 of you in this realm. So I was curious if they did when I did. So you're curious if they die when they die, when you die? No, it's all 13. Hi, um, Earth Angel. Who's the Earth Angel now? I forgot again. Oh my. Um, no, Julia. Hi, Lindsay. Um, no, you're confusing me, Miss Julia, because again, There's 13 of you on this realm, okay? And 13 of you do not die at the same time. Um, Actually, you rotate. Again, it's a circle. And that circle, right, manifests itself. How does it manifest itself in our realm? And what is a circle, Joe? Does the circle have an end? No. The circle does not have an end. The circle just keeps going around and around and around, right? So you keep going around and around and around, and each part of the circle, whether it's the top or the bottom, has a consciousness that is related to it, right? So so what I'm trying to explain is that wheel is your uh, what is it? Representation of conscious on a realm. Whether it's here or Mars or Neptune or Venus, wherever your that realm is, that's where you're going to spend a conscious minute exhibiting consciousness. Oh, Joe, you guys are being silly. Did I answer how you rotate there, Joe? So, correct. It's a circle upon a circle. It's a fractal. And that fractal ends at a new beginning. It is a black hole, basically, in space that spins into a new beginning. Even though black holes don't really exist, but it's another story. Okay. So, how you doing, Cheryl? I'm not a scientist. I can't tell you that stuff. You got to ask the scientists why black holes don't exist. Yes, ask your roommate. She's a scientist. She can tell you. I'm no scientist. Now, um, again, ask a scientist. My theory is just as good as their theory, and because it is unobservable, that's why it's called the theory. Okay, and that theory is based on information and knowledge, and information and knowledge to me is completely different than a PhD psych physics scientist that has like degrees coming out of his brain and his IQ is like 5 million. My IQ is like 50. I do not know anything, but I can tell you black holes don't exist. Black holes is just a transportation point from one information to another information, just like there is no end to a universe. It has a limited circle. Here we go again, in a complete 360 position of consciousness. So it has to be able to bounce off of something, right? So it has to have an end and it has to have a no, I know nothing, Joe. Joe, I know zero. I know absolutely nothing. That's one thing you have to understand is that I know nothing. From one point to point is the information. And that information is something we can't comprehend because all seven kingdoms are being represented and that information flow instantly. You understand what I just said? So, Cheryl, you have a question for me tonight? Joe keeps messing me up. They're trying to get me to like stutter and stuff, and I'm not gonna. All these young people, they want to get me going, especially that Joe guy. Um, your roommate, young lady, should have a channel that way she can ask her own questions. Okay, and the fractal of the circle again is a circle within a circle, and that circle within a circle does not have fear in it, does not have guilt in it, does not have any kind of an emotion that we consider on this planet, on this realm. It does have a representation of you at any given second. If you didn't exist at any given second in God's creation, then you would not exist right now as I am real to you. So each part of you is a manifestation of consciousness universally, right? Our cells do not question this. Our cells just do their thing, and we understand nothing um, because there is nothing for us to stand under. We only live the fractal in the form of consciousness. Okay. All right. So it was at 15 people at one point, and I don't know what happened. We exist in duality realms. No, you're going to exist in many different realms. Uh, this is the quadrant that you're in right now, and this quadrant is based on duality. So you must learn the duality of this existence. And duality means a lot of different things. Let me see here. What is it? The principle of polarity. Visible rhythm. So it is the principle of polarity. Everything has its dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. That's directly from the principles of Atlantis. All right. So that's the principle of polarity, and duality happens to be a very valid principle of consciousness. Okay. So, but even paradoxes may be reconciled. Um, that's pretty deep because even a thought can be altered or realized or forbidden or accepted. So a paradox is basically what I'm talking right now because it's my truth, not yours. Okay. So a paradox is the cause of polarity, right? Which is duality. Anybody else? It's always Joe asking questions and Julia. What is it with you two? All right, we're coming up to an hour. And you know, I'm a fiend. So an hour is a long time for me to sit there. What are you curious about, Julia? I gotta find a way. I don't know how to stop this reflection on my glasses. It's like talk about distracting. Well, does it also happen within relationships, aka one person is yin and the other is flowing? Everything. Yes, Lindsay. Duality also happens within relationships. How you endure in that relationship is what makes it long lasting. How you sacrifice in that relationship is how makes it long lasting. Um, whether one person is vibing and the other person is flowing, it's part of that duality. So relationships are a very special way to express ourselves with another individual in a freer form or grow from you or whatever it is. But that's why the external always causes the conflict internally. Okay. Use bifocals. Oh, the ones that have the thing over here, like Cheryl, but I can, oh, like that. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a good idea. Where do dimensions come into this, or are there dimensions? Interesting question. Dimensions are what's surrounding us. I know of at least 13. One of my favorite numbers again. Dimensions that are here on our realm, and where dimensions come into the circle of our existence. Let's see. The dimensions are basically there for us to have. You break up. I'm sorry, it's not me. I don't believe it's my internet. I'll try to keep going though. So dimensions are there for us to interact with. Okay, number one, observe. Number two, and um, engage. Engagement and interaction are different because the engagement is I can come out of my body and I can travel, say, to a moon that is a trillion light years away. Is it the same dimension as us? No, it's not. It's a different dimension. Yet my consciousness will be in that dimension. So that engagement that I'm interacting with is the two different things. All right. So dimensions, like what the ocean is a dimension, our our inner existence is a dimension, under earth is a dimension, the sky is a dimension, space is a dimension. So I know of 13, right? And these 13 dimensions are critical to the existence of our rock, of our planet, of our earth, of our realm, because each dimension is necessary to hold the fractal in position. And those dimensions are the building blocks that control the fractal, right? So if you do a DMT trip, you will see spooky things. If you do an ayahuasca thing, you will have emotional interactions with things. So these dimensions are all there, right? For us to have that interaction with. All right. Peace out, Julia. You have a great night, okay? Get some rest. You got those babies to take care of. So the dimensions are definitely flowing like waters, just as the books tell us, waters above or the waters below. Those are dimensions they're talking about. Okay. Who the hell is the hearts? An experience of ayahuasca retreat. There's no such thing as a bad experience, Joe. Um, only an interaction. The experience was based on an interaction. And how you interact is the dimensional aspect of what you are seeking. So, depending who is controlling your interaction, is what your experience is going to be. So, if you had a person that was not possibly geared to your have to having that interaction with the dimensional experience, then you would call it a bad experience. But again, there's no such thing as a good experience or a bad experience. There is an interaction and that energy and the energy of the dimensions. And um, it's sad that we have to pay or we have to use um, certain substances to interact with these things because everything is within us. Okay. And because we have everything within us, um, if I wanted to experience a fat flowing DMT trip, all I have to do is shut my eyes, trigger the DMT trip, and I am tripping my balls off without without anything. Um, but I would have to explain that I would have had to have had some form of experience to understand that I was tripping my balls off. So I would have had it done it before to know what it was that I was interacting with currently that is done with my brain. Okay. Now, the experience again is a false narrative that we give it. Um, it is a symptom of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. We are calling it an experience when it's truly an interaction. And that is the state of the world today. Again, fear is control. Fear is indeed uh, the hell uniting. So if we unite with truth, um, then this world will be a vast heaven as it was meant to be already. Um, and there would be no pollution, no disease, and it would be a beautiful place to live if we all just got along and if we all just understood each other. And this is why I'm making this channel because people are seeking, and people are seeking through false expectations or false realities or false truths or false, you name it. Everybody's out to make a dollar. Everybody's out for themselves. Everybody's this and this and that. But you are the secret. You are the universe. You have everything in your capacity at any given second. And I have lived this experience. So others have lived this experience. And I wouldn't be able to confidently tell you that that was possible if I didn't believe it. Okay. So it's a great way to learn, and it's a great way to see uh, the possibilities that exist in those dimensions. Okay. And I love the idea. Where do I get bifocals? I would love to get some bifocals because I'm sick and tired of this glare. Any more questions, guys? And please ask anything. There is nothing taboo or nothing that I hide. I do not have. I am fiending for a smoke though. That's my problem. If I was smoking here, Khalid will kick my butt. All right. So did I answer your question, Jill? Yes. Okay. Now you all got to stop thanking me. You all got to stop thanking me. You all got to stop thanking me because again, I do not do this to get thanked. I do this to open your mind. I do this to mess with your mind, and I do this to stir your pot. Okay. This is why I'm a chef. I put stuff in your brain to stir your pot. All right, everybody. I appreciate everybody. Please, again, if you have any questions, write them down so that way next week or next Monday, I would be happy to answer your questions. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Peace.